Okay, so let's jump right into something that feels, well, like a paradox. The AI creativity paradox. On the one hand, we see these large language models pumping out amazing art, incredible poetry. But on the other, a lot of it starts to feel a little samey, doesn't it? So what's the real story here? Is AI actually creative? Let's dig in.
So let's just start with a headline that sounds like it's straight out of science fiction. A machine just scored in the top 1% of humans on a standard creativity test. Yeah, you heard that right. Models like GPT-4 are acing these tests of divergent thinking, which we've always thought of as a uniquely human skill. So, is it time to panic? Should we all just pack it in? Or is there something else going on?
To figure that out, we've got to go back to the beginning, to the research that really kicked this whole conversation into high gear. This is the part of the story that honestly shocked everybody and made it seem like AI had already won the creativity game. This quote from a major 2024 study pretty much says it all. After putting GPT-4 through a whole battery of tests against human participants, the researchers' conclusion was, frankly, stunning. The AI was, in their words, robustly more creative. And this wasn't like a slight edge. It was a clear win. And here's what that looks like. You give people a common task, like the alternate uses test. How many uses can you think of for a brick? And you do the same with GPT-4. And consistently, the AI's ideas were rated as more original than the human average. So that's it, right? Case closed? Well, not so fast.
Because here comes the first big twist in the plot. Just when it looked like AI was the undisputed champion of creativity, researchers stumbled onto a massive, hidden flaw. They started calling it the homogeneity problem.
And this idea is so important, so let's just pause and define it. Creative homogeneity. It's this weird tendency where different AI models, even ones from rival companies, all start producing very, very similar creative ideas. So while any one AI might look creative by itself, when you zoom out, you realize they're all kind of singing the same song. This visual nails the concept. Ask a bunch of humans for ideas, and what you get is a big, messy, beautiful cloud of different thoughts. They're all over the place. Now, ask a bunch of LLMs the same question, and their ideas are all huddled together in a tight little cluster. It's like they're all exploring the same tiny patch of creative ground. And look, this isn't just a gut feeling or a metaphor. It's backed by hard data. Researchers measured something called semantic distance, which is really just a fancy way of asking how different are these ideas from one another. The results were crystal clear. Human ideas were way more varied, a much higher score. The LLM ideas were quantifiably, measurably more alike.
And this is where it gets a little scary. This quote really brings home the risk. It's not just that the AIs are thinking like each other. The real danger is that as we all start using these tools as creative partners, we might all get pushed into the same narrow, AI-approved lane of creativity. We could accidentally create what some are calling a generative monoculture.
But wait, there's more. The story gets even more complex. The potential problem isn't just about the AIs on limits. It's about what happens to our own creative muscles when we start relying on these things all the time.
So, to test this, some researchers ran a really smart experiment. They had people do creative tasks. Some got direct answers from an AI, others got what you might call AI coaching. And then for the last round, they took the AI away from everyone. The million-dollar question was, did having that AI help earlier actually make people better when they had to go it alone?
The results were not what you'd expect. In that final task, with no AI help, the group that had zero prior AI exposure actually came up with more original ideas. It's like relying on the AI, even just as a coach, made it harder for people to think for themselves when the training wheels came off.
Which brings us to this fantastic metaphor, thinking of AI as either steroids or a coach. Steroids, just taking the direct answer from the AI, gives you a quick boost, but it weakens your own creative muscles over time. The coach is supposed to build your skills. But here's the kicker from that study. It turns out even the AI coach could backfire, leading to worse performance down the line.
Okay, I know, this all sounds a little doom and gloom. But it's really not, because all of this research, all these twists and turns, they all point to one really powerful idea. an idea that puts you, the user, right back in the driver's seat. This is where we pivot from the problem to the solution. This quote right here gets to the absolute heart of it. An LLM is a mirror, a powerful, sophisticated mirror, but a mirror nonetheless. It reflects the creativity of the person using it. It is not going to take creative initiative. If you give it a lazy, uninspired prompt, you're going to get a lazy, uninspired output. The creativity isn't in the model, it's in the partnership, and you're the senior partner.
So the key to unlocking real creativity with these tools is all about mastering the prompt. It's about learning how to push these models past their default generic settings. So let's open up the toolkit and see how it's done.
All right, technique number 1, step back prompting. Don't just ask for a poem about a tree. That's too simple. Instead, you make the AI step back. You tell it, first, let's talk about the abstract principles of poetry. Let's talk about the theme of resilience. You force it to think conceptually, to understand the why before it gets to the what. And the result is something so much deeper. Next up, chain of thought prompting. Instead of just saying, write me a mystery story, which is a huge ask, you break it down for the model. You say, okay, let's do this together. Step 1, let's create a detective. Step 2, let's outline the plot. Step 3, let's write the first scene. You're essentially forcing it to think like a writer, to plan before it creates, and the final product is way more structured and coherent.
And this one's a game changer: persona prompting. A neutral prompt like write about tech and love is fine, but it's generic. But what if you say, you are a surrealist poet. You're inspired by Pablo Neruda. Now write about tech and love. See what happens? You've given it a voice, a style, a point of view. You've instantly unlocked something unique. And that brings us to a really deep idea. We talk about AI hallucinations, when the model just makes stuff up, and we treat it like a bug we need to squash. But what if we reframed that? What if we saw it as uncontrolled creativity? That tendency to invent, to make connections that aren't literally in its training data? That's the engine of novelty. The goal isn't to kill it, it's to learn how to steer it. So let's pull all these threads together. Let's solve the paradox we started with. What does this new future of co-creativity actually look like?
Here it is. This is your new role. The LLM isn't the creator. It's your brainstorming partner. Your skill with prompts is what dictates how new and interesting the output is. And your job is to dance between two modes. You use the AI for divergent thinking to just generate a wild storm of ideas, and then you switch to convergent thinking, where you use your human taste, your judgment to curate, refine, and give it all purpose.
So in the end, we land on a totally new perspective. The real challenge isn't about Silicon Valley building a creative AI. The real, interesting human challenge is for us to learn how to be creative with an AI. It takes skill. It takes curiosity. It takes judgment. So the question isn't, can AI be creative anymore? The real question is, are you ready to lead the dance?